Okay, we are live. So let me shut this down so I don't interrupt myself. So I don't be my own demise here.
Oh, I know how that is.
I'm telling you, this technology is something else. It's something else. Let me see. Let's look at the lights.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a little bit of light in your room?
More light?
Yeah, any light, yeah.
I can bring up.
It's okay, but if you have more,
how is that? Is that better? I mean, I can put on a lot more light.
Oh no, not that. Not that. Yeah, that's it.
Like there?
That's it.
Great.
That works. That's it.
I've got some lights on my desk that we use for this, so just let me know what looks good.
Oh yeah, this is good.
This time of the morning, I never look good.
Well, I'm used to it because I broadcast every time at 7 a.m. Central Time.
Oh wow!
So I'm used to like, okay, let's buckle up, let's do that.
Sure, got to do it. Got to do it.
I know, so I'm kind of used to it. Let's see now. So hold on a second. Let me do my little share here. Okay. Let's see. They have been moving it all over the social media for it's amazing. Oh my God, it's just pretty amazing. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Please do share as you come in. I'm going to quickly go on Periscope right now and invite others to come in. So please do share as you come in while I quickly do my little spiel on Periscope. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. Please do share as you come in. Share. Good morning, Tessa. Good morning. Good morning, Aika. Good morning, Edith. Good morning, Tiffany. Ineka, I see you. Kasika, I see you. Tony, I see you. Come on in. Come on in. Edith, I see you. Krista, I see you. Tony, I see you. Thank you all for joining. Mr. Mansfield, they said good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Kasika, I see you. Aika, I see you. Cynthia, I see you. Let's do our sharing. Let's start sharing. Let's start sharing. I see you, Krista. I see you, Carla. I see you, Jennifer. I see you, Edith. I see you. Let's share. Let's start sharing. Come on, people. Let's go. Edith, I see you. Let's go. Let's move it. You've all been waiting for this now. Let's move it. Come on, people. Oh, you're very excited. I'm glad you are. Thank you for sharing. Welcome, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing. Oh my heavens, everybody. I am so super duper excited that you guys are here. It is so awesome. This is an awesome day. Let me tell you something before I start. You know how I roll here. I love my stories, right? You know me with my stories. That's what you know me for. I'm a storyteller. My name, for those who are new to this place, my name is Dr. Princess Fumi Hancock. Of course, many of you know that I am a princess because I'm a princess from the southwestern region of Nigeria, where my family has really ruled since the 1280s. And so people across the social media, you all know me as your life strategist, your vision midwife, your purpose pusher, because I really do help you to push your purpose, not only in writing or films, but of course, as a business, as a creative entrepreneur. And let me tell you something, today is an awesome day for me because I have in your presence right now. Now, I know he's very modest. He's very humble. He's probably going to laugh about what I'm about to say now. I really regard him as one of my life legends.
Oh, wow.
Let me sit on that. I want you all to sit on that for a minute. All right. Abby, I see you from London. I see you. Can you all please post where you're broadcasting from? Let us know where you're from. I know, Abby, you're from London. Let us know where you're from. I regard him. Do you all hear me? I regard him as a life legend. Mm-hmm. And many of you have heard so many for the last few weeks. We've been talking a lot about him. You guys have really helped to move him across social media. Let everybody know about today. And so because of that, we have a lot of people pouring in. And because you're pouring in, hey, Desiree, I see you. Let me start with this. For those who do not know me, I'm a best-selling author. I've written 20 books. I'm on my 21st book right now, 21st year in writing. Out of the 20, 9 have become a bestseller. 2 have been made into a movie. 1, my latest movie, which is whoa, you know, my first directorial debut is coming in this August, and that is Visionary Women's Ted Bell. I'm so excited about that. So having put that aside, let's put that aside. Australia, I see you. Florida, I see you. Arizona, we see you. You see us live. Atlanta, we see you. So thank you so much for being here this morning. I know this is early. And as Mr. Mansfield said, he said, well, this is an early thing for me, so I'm not really looking great. But how many of you know that? How many of you right now can say he looks dashing enough, right? Right? Yeah, his smile is beautiful. He's just great. The regal person that he is, he's just great and is always ready, right? And so thank you all so much for coming here again. Let me say a little bit about this wonderful man. Let me say a little bit. There is a reason why I started off with that music. That song was created for the children in Africa when he volunteered to really be the host of a gala that was done for the king when the king was here several years ago. That was my first encounter with him. And I have to tell you, oh, they said you look awesome. And I have to tell you, for those of you who are in my mastermind, I always say this to you guys. Humility is a huge thing. Humility is something that you do not buy. You can buy it. It's something that just exudes out of you. It's something that you intentionally do. And my first experience, South Korea is here, welcome. My first experience with him, he looked so humble. He acted so humble. He respected the king. It was just beautiful to see someone who is that established, right? And yet he's so down to earth. This is what God is wanting of us. And so when I began to think about the Storyteller Bistro and who are the people that I needed, hey, Dr. Ray, welcome. Who are the people that I needed to bring on to for interview on this special platform, I couldn't think about the best person to really, really bring to you guys. You guys have done your homework. You've done your research, because with the questions you all bombarded me with, it showed me that you did your homework. And so we're going to go as quickly as possible through some of these questions. It is my hope that maybe after this meeting, I'm going to kind of like sucker punch him into going back home and looking at some of these questions and maybe coming back with some answers so that we can continue on the dialogue, because you guys obviously want to hear a lot from him, right? A whole lot from him. So thank you all so much again. Let me say a little bit again about this wonderful man, my life legend, someone who I really regard as a mentor, because here's the thing, if I have a question and I reach out to him, guess what? He comes back and he answers me. There was a time I had some questions about ghostwriting and I didn't know where to go. I reached out to some people. It was just like, but I knew that he was somebody that has a heart to help people. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to shoot my email out to this wonderful man. And lo and behold, it came back with this wonderful responses that really radically changed the way that I look at my services right now. And so take your time to really listen. All right. Good morning, Annette. Take your time to listen to this wonderful man. I'm hoping that he has 1.5 hours to really help us out here. I'm hoping, this is what I'm hoping. So let's talk a little bit about Mr. Stephen Mansfield, because I'm going to have him talk a little bit about himself. He was born in Columbia, Georgia, right? He was a brat, right? You guys say brat, right? That is what you guys call it in United States of America, brats. Brat means something else though in Africa. But this is what you guys call it here, so I'm just going to flow with it, brat. And we're going to hear a little bit about that. His early travels and his formal education left him with an interest in religion and leadership. And of course, he wrote a first book called Never Give In, The Extraordinary Character of Winston Churchill, right? And that was released in 1995, right? And then since then, he's written, incredible amount of books. One of it is Faith of George W. Bush. Another one, he wrote Pope Benedict, is it 16, right? And then he also I think he wrote something on Faith of the American Soldier. And then we talked about Search for God and Guinness, and my God, it just goes on and on and on and on. So as we begin to talk to him this morning, we're gonna, military brat. I got you guys. I got you. All right, military brat. I got you guys. I got you. So we're gonna go into asking questions right now. Oh, by the way, he also has a media training firm, right, based in Washington, D.C. Now, I have to ask you, let's start with this funny thing, because I know you've been in Washington, D.C. for a while now, but yet you still say Nashville. What's up with that?
Well, my wife and I live in both cities half the year, so that's what we do.
Oh, okay. All right.
We say that we go to Washington, D.C. to get schizophrenic and come back to Nashville to get normal.
I know how that goes. You know what? I need a place like that where I can go schizophrenic and then come back to Nashville where I can really calm myself down.
Sure.
Let's start with this. Let's start with this. Whew. How did you? Let's start with pastor. Let's start with that pastoral thing. Let's start with that, because I know that. Are you still a pastor, or were you a pastor? We need clarity on that.
Well, when I graduated from college in 1981, I went to work with a church in West Texas, and then I was there for 10 years, and then I moved to Nashville and worked with the church for 10 years. You know, some people believe they're called to pastor their whole lives.
That's
and
right.
Some believe that's just a season of their life, and then they'll do other things. And I always knew that I would pastor maybe half my life, and then would transition into what I'm doing now, which is work in politics and government and work with leaders and so on. So after 20 years of pastoring, I transitioned into writing the books that you've talked about, and starting the firm that I've started, and I do faith commentary for Fox and CNN and things like that. So a little bit different. Some people pastor their whole lives. I pastored half my life and then began doing what I'm doing now. So it's been a wonderful run.
Oh, wow. So, because you're helping me out here, because right now what I do on broadcast is more of life strategy, but using biblical principles. And majority of the people that watch, we have over 9,000 people on Periscope. We have, I don't even know how many people on Facebook, but we have at least on this channel alone over 10,000. And many of them wear so many hats. Many of them have the ministerial hat, and then they want to do business, but they have not been able to do what you do. So I need you to help me out and help other people out, but help me out first. Right? Help me out first, because I have those two hats too. And at times it becomes like 3 hats. How did you transition from pastoral into becoming a businessman and a statesman without people telling you your services is supposed to be free?
Well, it's a great question. I think one of the keys of living and leadership is to know the seasons of your life.
Can you say that again? Say that again.
One of the arts of living and the arts of leadership is to know the seasons of your life. And by the grace of God, every season that you are in is preparing you for the next season. So I always knew that my pastoral leadership was impacting lives, and I was grateful for that. But I also knew that I was developing skills and abilities that would allow me to do other things that I wanted to do. Still as a Christian, still as a man who wanted to do good in the world, but not in the pastorate, not in the church eventually. So when the time came for that transition, I was aware of the gifts, the skills that I had been, developing and strengthening through all the 20 years of pastoring. And then I began to write, and I began to appear on TV, and by God's grace, I had some success. I had some New York Times bestselling books, and all of that repositioned me. So, many people feel trapped in any one season of their life, the pastorate or business or whatever it is. But always in the economy of God, what you're doing in the one season is preparing you for the next season. You just have to have confidence that when you get there, you'll be ready. So, yeah, I certainly came to the point where no longer was I a pastor doing things for free, so to speak. But instead, I could charge for my services, and I was in a different culture, and it went very well by God's grace.
So you said something that's very significant here. You said it transitioned you. So which means that were you still a pastor when you started writing? What was there a time where everything overlapped before you now completely moved? Talk to us about that.
Well, in my case, I was able to transition out of the pastorate and then go directly into what I was doing next, because I had already been a writer while I was pastoring. I had already had some books do very well. I already traveled and spoke. I was in a position, I pastored a large church in Nashville, so it gave me some flexibility. I had a staff, so I didn't have to be in service every single Sunday. So some of the things that I would eventually do full time, write and speak and consult, I was doing in smaller ways while I was a pastor. So there was a nice blend. And I think that's one of the keys of making such a transition is you don't want to do just one thing and then suddenly come right up to the door and then the thing you've been doing stops and then you start something brand new. You want to have the elements of what you'll eventually do sort of, part of the previous season. If you're a pastor, you can write, you can travel and speak, you can, develop a business on the side, whatever it is you're supposed to do. And then when the transition comes, it's not all brand new. It's a building on what you've already been doing.
Wow. You know what? You just broke. We have something on my broadcast. We say crack the code. When you hear me say crack the code, it just simply means that you just crack the code right there.
Great.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Many people think that they have to wait and then just cut something, boom, and then transition. And because of that, we are experiencing a lot of hardship, a lot of problems. So talk to us again about that.
Yeah, I think that you have to have in every season an attitude that you are developing who you are, that you're using all your gifts, that you want to, the other way to say it is, some people say all pistons are firing. So, for example, Dr. Hancock, if you are a speaker and you are a consultant and you are a writer and you are a creative with film and poetry and other things, well, then there ought to be some of each of those things in every season. So yes. The season you're in right now might be, I don't know, mainly business or mainly broadcast. But that's the other parts of who you are meant to be active too, even if it's only, let's say, 5%, or 10%. You can't really use percentages, but you know what I mean. So when I was pastoring a church in Nashville, I was also writing books. I wrote 5 books during that time. I would travel and speak. I would always want to take care of the church, but occasionally I would go speak somewhere. I worked internationally. I worked in politics just a little bit. And so there were, to the tune of 5 or 10%, a part of my life where my other gifts were being developed. Then when the change comes, when the transition happens, it's not as though you completely leave everything you've been doing and completely step into something new. See, that kind of thinking is what scares people. It's what keeps them from making the transitions they ought to make. Instead, if you are bringing the full of who you are into every season, just in certain configurations, then a change of season is simply a change in the percentages, so to speak. It's the change in the amount that you're doing any one thing.
That's right.
So like today, I still pastor people. I still preach in churches, but the majority of what I do is as a New York Times bestselling author and as a person who's on television and as a person who runs a firm in DC. So it really was just a shift in the configuration rather than start something completely new.
I gotta tell you, you just confirmed something for me right there, because I've always wondered, well, am I doing the right thing? Because a lot of times in my season, there are times like last year now, what I saw myself do was I wrote, it was in that level. I write, I speak, I teach. It was at that level, so that the percentage was like that. And then this year is I speak, I write, I teach. And I've always wondered if that was, because I've always told my students that, you know what, you are a whole package, but you cannot be 100% at everything at the same season. Otherwise, I don't know what, it's going to be a mess. But there has to be a part of you, and you just confirmed it right now, that there has to, for every season, number one, notice the season that you're in. You got to observe and know the season you're in. And then you got to accentuate that part of you while you're still doing, if I get you correctly, while you're still dabbling in those things. But the thing is, they're all interconnected, aren't they?
Yes, exactly. And I think what you have to do is take an inventory of yourself. What are the gifts you have? What are the strengths that God wants to use? And make sure that you're at least, I'll put it humorously, getting a workout in every area, even if it's at a low level. So if let's say I'm in a season of all consulting NDC, well, I'm still going to make sure that I get up on a Saturday morning when I have a day off and do some writing, just to stay sharp in that area. If I'm also called, I'm just making things up now, but if I'm also called to be a tennis pro, well, I'll make sure I get a few hours of tennis in every week, even if I'm busy in DC. So I think that everything that you are, once you get into your stride and you're really doing what you're called to do in life, everything should be active in all your seasons. But it's just percentages. It's just the priorities. So I used to preach a lot and run a church a lot, but I also wrote and consulted and did a little bit of television. Now I do a lot of writing and television and speaking, and I don't run a church as much. And so it's a matter of the percentages. And when we're trusting God as you and I do, and we believe that He unfolds our lives, then our job is to, as the Bible says, steward the grace that's been given to us. I've been given grace for certain roles. So I want to make sure that I am using all of my muscles, so to speak, creatively and professionally, even though not, as you've just said, many people get themselves in trouble because they think they have to be 100% in everything they're doing.
That's right.
You're going to have burnout and stress and failure if you do that.
So for those who are, they are not pastoring a church per se, they are in ministry right now. And at the same time, they have like a 9-to-5 job, and they have those two things occupying their life, and they also want to segue into business. Please talk to us. How can we be successful? Because I see this a lot with a lot of people that come to my show and a lot of people that we talk behind the scenes. Many people are having a hard time segueing from their job, J-O-B, while they're also dabbling into ministry. At the same time, they want to start a business. Talk to us.
Yeah, that's always a tough thing, but it can be done. And the issue is time management. For some people, they need to talk to their boss on their job and cut down their hours a little bit, just to free up enough time to begin to put time into their business.
Can you say that again? I want you to say that again.
It always comes down to time management. And so there are some people who have their job and they're working it because they want to make money. But what they have to do is go to their boss and say, look, can I just trim my hours back just a little bit so I have some time to invest in some other things that I'm doing? I'll work hard. I'll do a good job, but let me adjust my hours a bit. Or for some people, it might be hours of the day. Can I come in early in the morning and work from 6 to 2 in the day and then have the afternoon free? But we have to respect our bodies. We have to respect rest. We have to respect the priority of our families. But many people can make adjustments within their time. It's a battle of time. The other thing, too, is that we all know that when you're in ministry, in the pastorate, that ministry will take up as many hours as you have.
Yes. Yes.
You can get up in the morning and say, come ministry, and fall asleep dead at 2 a.m. the next day, and the whole day will have been ministry. So you have to have a strong sense of God's leading. What's your priority? What are you meant to do? I pastored a church of thousands here in Nashville. If I was the one making the hospital runs and running the youth ministry and doing this and figuring out the budget, I would be dead. So I had to say, these 2 or 3 things are what I do, and I'll have other people do the other things. And that tamed the time and allowed me to write books. So you have to honor your gift, so to speak. And you have to find the time to develop the things you're supposed to be doing. Because one of my friends says it this way. He says, we are not to be dominated by need or opportunity. We're led by the voice of the Lord. Now that sounds very mystical, but need and opportunity, if we give ourselves fully to them, will kill us.
Need and opportunity.
Yes.
Someone ourselves fully, it will kill us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, someone gifted like you, Dr. Hancock, there are needs in the world that you can go fulfill. Many people wanting your time. There are lots of opportunities for you. If you just give yourself to need and opportunity, then you will be, as we say in the States, a mile wide and an inch deep. You'll be
crack the code. Crack the code.
Yeah.
You'll hear it Are you all hearing it? So when you see me disappear by fire, know that the legend, the live legend, he just inspired me right now to disappear a little bit on your say that again. I love it. Oh my God.
And I should say too that the people who are often in the most trouble are the people who are the most compassionate. Now, this sounds terrible, but if you care about people, we all care about people. We want to help them. That's why you and I do what we do. We want to help people. But the needs are endless. Can you imagine how many needs there are in Washington, D.C.? Can you imagine how many needs are there, in your home country, Nigeria? How many needs there are amongst our friends? I mean, we could just give our whole life. You have to have a sense of priorities. You can't let every need and opportunity become something you invest your time in.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Tame your schedule and tame your priorities. Yeah.
Ooh. Now, what you just cracked the code, everybody. Somebody say hashtag crack the code. Can you say hashtag Mr. Stephen Mansfield just cracked the code? Please hashtag that for me, because that is where many of us are sitting right now, because we feel like this is a ministry. Every call that you get, you have to pick it up. Every person that dials your phone, you have to say something. Everybody that hunts you down on Facebook, you have to respond to. And when you do not respond, then you feel guilty. So help us not to feel guilty this morning, Mr. Mansfield.
Well, everybody in the Bible who was serving God had to say, I'm supposed to do one thing. That means I'm not supposed to do the other. I could go through a whole Bible survey. The elders in the early church said it's not right for us to serve tables. We'll appoint deacons and they will serve tables and we will minister the word and be in prayer. They had to know their sense of priorities or the early church would never have been born. When Ezra and Nehemiah were building the walls of the city, they said, we can't come down off this wall and take care of the things you're talking about. We're going to stay up here and work. In other words, they wouldn't get into squabbles and hassles and fights. They stayed on the wall and they built. So one of the hardest things for any leaders, but especially religious leaders, is that you have to know your sense of priorities. And I say no to things every day. I say no to opportunities.
I really find that unbelievable, because you're such a nice guy. And I find it unbelievable that you actually say no anywhere at all. I find it hard to believe.
I have an executive assistant named Karen. I think maybe you've dealt with her.
Yes.
She's wonderful. And half her job is to say no.
I got it. Crack the code, everybody. Crack the code. So you got somebody to help you to say no.
Yeah. I talked to her about what my priorities are for any season. She knows exactly what I'm doing this summer, for example, and what the priorities are and what the fall looks like. And therefore, we talk all the time about what's this season we're in, so to speak, as a company, and what should I be doing? And then we make adjustments. And if I said yes to everything that comes to me, I would be dead. There's just no question. Or at very least, I would miss the best use of me. So part of the reason that I can, by God's grace, be effective is that I say no to the things I'm not meant to do so that I can be strong in the things I am meant to do. And everybody has to learn how to do it. Otherwise, it's be different.
Wow.
Just for example, let me use another example because I think this is an important point.
Yes.
We all watch TV. We all get those letters in the mail about opportunities to give, right? People are hungry. People are starving. There's a ministry over here.
That's right.
Over here. There's Haiti, all over the world. If you could have $1 billion, you could make $1 billion a year. But if you give to every opportunity that comes, you'll be poor.
That's right. That's right.
So, and we all know that in order for us to live and have money and continue to do good, we have to say no to some things. I can't help everything. It might be a good cause. Somebody else is meant to take care of it. But if I don't say no, and my wife and I give away our house and our cars and our children and our dog, and, to all the needs, and they're legitimate needs. Look at Haiti, how horrible it is there. But I can't, if I give everything I have to Haiti, I have nothing to, I couldn't sit here. I wouldn't have a computer to be on with you this morning. I wouldn't be able to fly where I'm flying next week. I wouldn't be able to help other people. So all of life is about budgeting and knowing what you're supposed to be doing. Otherwise, we spend ourselves completely and we have nothing further to give. And that's a big problem for people in ministry because they are compassionate. But it's a lie to say that because you're in ministry, you have to take every opportunity and respond to every need. It's not true. You have to know what you're meant to be doing. What is the field assigned to you, as Paul said, the Apostle Paul said, and then what are you meant to be doing and what are you not meant to be doing?
Okay, so there are two things on the broadcast that I'm looking at right now that is not even here. So do this. So two things is, number one, what if you've already left your 9-to-5 position, you are in the throes of making something happen for yourself in your business, but you are having a problem, having it catch fire. Can you inspire and just inspire the emerging creative entrepreneurs right now? What they've already left their job, so that's done now. They can go back to it again. How can they jumpstart their business so that they can start making money? And talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, in my experience, most people who are having a hard time getting a business going are trying to do it all themselves. I believe in, number one, getting mentors. I believe in having sort of, I'll call them, for lack of a better term, father figures, older people in the industry, mother figures.
And mother figures too.
That's right, baby. My mother, that's right. For example, if I was just starting a podcast and I wanted to do what you're doing, well, I would be stupid to just sit by myself in my office and try to figure it out on my own. I can meet with you. Let me see if you'll help me, mentor me, teach me. I'll call some people. I'll go to lunch. And so many entrepreneurs feel like they have to do it themselves. But there are others who have already blazed a trail. I don't want to blaze trails others have already blazed. I don't want to pioneer what others have already pioneered. So I want to learn from them. So a lot of the need is for people to have older people who can help them and who can network them. Many people who are just starting businesses don't have good networks. They don't have good connections. But as you know, business, politics, all of it is about the connections that you have. And that's why you need some of these older mentors.
See, I'm glad that you really talked about that, because that is one of the things I often tell people on this broadcast, that, you can't just say, okay, I want to be the best broadcaster and not even seek mentoring. I remember there was a time myself and Yolanda called you in Nashville and we went to this hotel.
Yes.
Because we were trying to figure out what in the world we were doing, number one. We found ourselves, Yolanda found herself going this way. I found myself going this way. And we're trying to make it happen. But when we met with you and you finally say, it's okay. It is okay, because everybody's season is different. Perhaps the season to do things together is coming to an end, but it is okay.
Yes.
And that was such a freedom for both of us. And now she's off doing her own thing. I'm off doing my own thing. And we don't have to have stress trying to put a web page where everything is happening and nothing connecting.
And the reason that was an important moment is just that you trusted somebody from outside your experience.
That's right.
We're all swimming in our own experience. We see things from the inside. We need people from an outside perspective. I don't see myself clearly. When we even look at ourselves in the mirror, we don't see ourselves accurately, they tell us. We need people outside who have a 3D view of us. And so my life has been dramatically changed by outside mentors and outside advisors, people who coach me. It makes all the difference in the world. And so you're sharing that story as though I look like a genius, but all I was a person standing outside of your experience.
Now, it is good for you to even say that people who coach you, because sometimes I have people on, that I've met that think that, okay, because they start a business now, so they don't need a coach anymore. Or because there's some, they're writing now, they don't need a coach anymore. They can just go over Amazon, put all these things together, and they're trying to make something. They might be successful a little, but they could even be more successful with the impact of a coach or a mentor or somebody who knows, at least have an idea what they're trying to ignite in their lives.
Well, and I want to say too that when we use the word coach, a lot of people listening to us think that perhaps we mean somebody who's coaching us for our whole lives,
Exactly.
Like following Jesus or following, somebody. And I think that coaching is, some people use the word modular, but it means that it's about a certain portion of your life. For example, I have a friend who's very good with his daughter. He just has an amazing relationship with his daughter. Well, I have a great relationship with my daughter. My daughter's 27 and living in New York. But I sat with this friend and I said, teach me what you do. Just watch here, coach me a little bit. I want to have the best relationship. You seem to have something special in that area. Now, this man could use my help in some other areas of his life, but in his life, I want to draw from his strengths. Then I have other friends who are better investors than I am, or maybe they are better with their clothes, or maybe, I don't know. So people can coach each other, and you can create around you kind of an encouraging coaching culture that makes you better. It doesn't have to be you go hire one person for $100,000 a year.
That's right.
Do it every second of your life. That I've never had that kind of coach.
That's right.
I have lots of friends and mentors in various areas of life, and it's made all the difference in my life. So people need to be humble, and they need to allow other people to speak into their lives, and they need to pursue it. I will actually go to friends and say, teach me, tell me how you do this. I want to understand this. And if there's some way I can help you, I will. And so we help each other in our strengths, and we get better.
I like the way you said it. You said people need to be humble.
Yes.
And be able to allow people to really speak into their lives.
Yes.
And that is where some people are stuck right now, because they are not humble enough to allow people to speak into their lives. And because they feel, I remember telling one young man one day, because he came to me as, wanted me to mentor him. And I would just give him, options and say, well, think about this. But then he will come back and say something. And then I said, you know what? Let me ask you a question. Do you really need me? Because I don't think you need me. I think you're good by yourself. You're coming up with the answers. You're doing all this. You don't need me. And I don't want any time. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want my time wasted, because if you have answers for everything, then you don't need me.
That's right.
So talk to people like that right now. People that have that same mindset right now, that think they got it all. Talk to them.
Everybody has gifts, and we are aware of our gifts because we've been complimented for our gifts our whole lives. You do this well, you do that well. But we also have areas where we are failures. We have areas where we're not gifted, where we aren't good. And let me say this, the more gifted you are in one area, the more that you sort of throw a shadow on other areas. We see this in Nashville all the time, for example, right? We see the amazing star who can sing unbelievably, but their marriage is a mess. Their children are a mess. They drink too much. They are, rude. And so the more gifted you are in one area, the more prominent you are, the less you're likely to see your needs in other areas of life. So everybody needs to be mentored. The saddest sign I ever saw in my whole life was on a business that had closed. And it said, gone out of business. And then underneath, in quotation marks, it said, I did it my way. And they were quoting the Frank Sinatra song, the famous Frank Sinatra song. But the point was, this person is saying, I'm failed in business because I did this my way and I didn't listen to other people. So you have a lot of gifted people listening to this broadcast, I'm sure. But there's a danger in that. If you're strongly gifted in one area, the likely is it's throwing shade, so to speak. It's keeping you from seeing your needs in other areas. And that's why you need coaching, because you can't see what you can't see. And that's causing a failure for a lot of people.
Wow. Some of the masterminds that I have, we have collaborators. We kind of tell them to have accountability partners and all that. But what I've found is that some of them do not use it because of self-pride, self-preservation. So they have this partner, they have people that are collaborating around them, but they don't want to use them. They want to go somewhere where nobody knows them, or, come to me when I'm saying there is a reason why this is a cohort, so that you guys can grow together. And when things happen, you guys can actually use each other. You have a place to fall into and say, hey, what do you think? But can you talk to people like that who have problems really adjusting to that kind of?
Yeah, it's a hard thing. And in some cultures, as you know, it's very hard for the person in charge to humble themselves and allow others to speak to them. But let me tell you what you want to have around you. You want to have a team of people with whom you have what I call a free fire zone. A free fire zone is a situation in which anything you need to say to make me better, you have to say.
Ooh, repeat that. Please repeat it.
Yeah, the goal of your leadership is that you have a team around you where there's a free fire zone, and they have the obligation to say anything. Now, they need to say it kindly and politely, but anything that needs to be said to you to make you better. And what a leader has to be humble enough to hear that. And by the way, it needs to work both ways. I can say anything to them.
That's right.
So, for example, let me go back to Karen, since that's the one person working with me that I've mentioned. I've said to her, look, if you see anything I'm doing wrong, if there's anything I'm messing up, if I'm having a negative effect on people, if I'm being whatever it is, you speak to me. I don't want to be sitting on an airplane somewhere insecure that my team is not telling me what I'm doing wrong.
That's right.
Speak to me. And oh gosh, do they make me better. But most leaders won't allow that free fire zone. They won't allow people to speak to them. We could look at people on the national stage. I won't mention any names, but how many politicians, how many entertainment stars, how many leaders, people you see on television, do you wish that someone had sat down with them and said, let me talk to you about the impact you have. Let me talk to you about your grammar. Let me talk to you about, your arrogance or the way you talk about yourself or whatever. They would have been better if someone could have had a free fire zone with them. And most leaders are failing because of something in their lives that someone would have corrected if they'd been given a chance.
My goodness. I tell you, you are just cracking the code every second. I'm telling you right now, right, people? Yeah, he's cracking the code, all right. You're just cracking incredible amount of code right here. One of the things I always told people on my broadcast, I said, you know what? I would rather be a guinea pig in the hands of the Heavenly Father than be thrown out there where nobody cares, tell me anything. And I have virtual assistants that every day I ask them when we meet is like, did I do something that you think requires correction? And now they are, initially they were like, because they come from the culture where it's like, they can do it. But after being with me for a while and me constantly saying, did I do something? Now they used to say, hey, you know what, Dr. Hancock, I don't think we should do it that way. Let's try this. Let's try that. And so part of leadership too, the character trait of a leadership is to be able to listen to and be able to just understand that you don't even know it all. Even as a leader, you do not know it. As a servant leader, you don't know it all.
That's right. In the ancient Greek games, when a person was running the marathon, they had another person who was allowed to run alongside of them. And that person was someone who knew the course, knew what was ahead, knew where the holes in the road were, knew where the crowd was or the trees would get in the way. And they were called, it was a Greek word for it, but if they were one called alongside to help. And so that's what the Greek word means. And so all of us need that. None of us have the wisdom or the foresight to run our own race without help from others. And I can't tell you how practical this has gotten for me. I was in my 40s when a man said, Stephen, I always feel like I bore you. I know you're a compassionate man, but I feel like I'm boring you. And you know what? It came down to some practical things I do. For example, when I'm thinking deeply, I tend to look away from people and kind of look off and think. Well, that can make people think that I'm not paying attention to them anymore.
Wow.
But actually, I'm thinking about them very intensely. So it wasn't like I needed to have some big, dramatic psychological intervention or surgery or something. I just needed to change some practical habits. But if he had never said it, I would never have known, because the last thing I want is for people to feel bored when I'm talking to them. That's not great leadership. But it all became a matter of body language and where my eyes were fixed and practical things that made a huge difference in how I was impacting people. But someone had to risk hurting my feelings to help me be a better leader. And if you're not allowing that process in your life, you're just not going to be the best you can be.
Well, I'm going to segue quickly into speaking. But before we do that, thank you guys for throwing that book out there, Miracle of the Curse. Thank you for throwing that out there. I want to segue into public speaking. But before we do that, one person on here asked a question about, okay, what if you can afford to have somebody in between you and say your notes? But let me say this. You know, before I could get a VA, I was saying no by myself. So you're going to have to just grow some, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going to have him respond to that. What do you say to people who say, okay, oh, but I can't afford an assistant?
Well, then you have to have a band of brothers and a band of sisters. You have to have people around you. There were days where I didn't have any help, but I still had lunch with other friends who, and I would say, listen, guys, I know you're watching what I'm doing, even though you're busy with your own work. Talk to me. Anything I need to do better. And they would say, yeah, your social media is terrible. Or, what?
That's right.
That photograph on that book makes you look like a whatever. They would just, they would be very honest with me. And because they were busy, they were very quick and sharp and had helped me. Then eventually, frankly, sometimes the best people to speak to you are not people you've hired.
Mm-hmm.
The best people to speak to you honestly are other people who aren't dependent upon you. So I have to have people around me, to put it kind of oddly, who love me but are not afraid of me.
That's right.
Who will speak bluntly to me. So don't think in terms of just hiring people, but think in terms of having a network, a band of brothers. You've never hired me, I've never hired you, but we've spoken to each other and helped each other. And so some of the people who can be the most help to you are people you haven't hired. And then eventually, of course, you'll grow your business to the point where you can have an assistant. But if we're talking about the kind of feedback that I'm talking about today, that usually doesn't come primarily from staff people. It comes from other people who are sort of your equals in a sense in other companies and have other experiences.
Well, with us here, we have we call ourselves the World Changer Sister Tribe, and we also have a brother tribe. And brother tribe, we actually give them your book, The Manly Man.
Oh, good.
And some of them are here. Dr. Ray is here, who helps us to lead the men while I lead the women, because there are certain things that I just don't want to know when the men are in there talking their own thing. And so I stay in my own lane. And so one of the things that we do with our sister tribe is really support each other. And really, when businesses are budding, we support each other, we help each other out, we try to find out. Like yesterday now, somebody started their own radio show and we all were there. Now, assuming you were not part of that band and you needed to start a podcast or a radio show, it would be difficult. For what she did and pulled off last night, it would have been incredibly, incredibly difficult. So can you tell people again what the significance of, I love the way you said it. Is it banded brothers? How did you word that?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in having a band of brothers or a band of sisters around you. I think most of us tend to walk alone. Most people in the world today don't have close friends. As a professional who really wants to make a difference in the world, you have to have a band of brothers around you or a band of sisters who love you but are not afraid of you, who want your best but are willing to, if they have to, hurt your feelings to make you better.
Yes, right.
So it's kind of like a doctor who's a surgeon. A surgeon has to cut into your skin, which is not something you usually like, but they're helping you get better. And you need people who can speak to you and who you will hear. Most leaders get calluses on their ears. They won't hear anymore. They've got to have people around them who they trust to speak to them. For me, the main people who speak to me are people outside of my company, outside of my employ, who are professionals themselves, and they have different kinds of gifts. So they'll speak to me about the things that I need to improve and make better. And I don't know how anybody really accomplishes well without having those people who will speak. And they can speak to anything. They can say, the video was terrible. What was wrong with you? You need to drink a drink in the morning so you wake up, or something. Have a protein. What is wrong with you? And they'll say it humorously and they'll say it lovingly. But like, for example, one of my friends might say, I'm just making this up now, but they'll watch this. Some of them are watching, and they will say, look, that would have been great if you had been awake, But if you're going to sleep through the whole thing, or
I think I'm going to love your friends, because that is the way I relate to my friends. And there are times those who do not know me might say, oh, that's a little bit, they get overly sensitive. But when they get to know me, I know the whole package, then they know. It's like some of the people in my class now, when they're doing something, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
Let's not go there. So
let me tell you a quick just a very quick humorous story.
Yes.
Years ago, I was on C-SPAN and I was doing part of a religious service in Washington. The president was there, part of the Supreme Court, Congress. And I got up and I was a little bit nervous. It was one of the first times I had done that. And I read a verse from 2nd James in the New Testament. Now, there is no 2nd James in the New Testament. There's only the book of James. My friends were watching on C-SPAN. So you can imagine what my nickname is for these friends. So they will call me and say, hey, 2nd James, how'd it go this morning? And that was almost 10 years ago. So that just gives you a sense of how I never will get arrogant around these guys. They're always going to keep me in check.
That is awesome. Now let's go into public speaking, because you have clients that you help become incredible public speakers. How did you segue into that part of your business? And tell us exactly what that business, tell us a little bit about that. What do you do with people like that? Because I have a lot of people on here right now that they want to speak, right? They when you ask them who they are, they'll tell you they're speakers. They haven't really done anything, the capacity of what you do. How can they begin to, number one, how can they prepare themselves to be a global speaker? Because many people are calling themselves international speaker and they've never left their zip code. They've never left it, and that's the truth. Right. Never left their zip code, but they are international. And even that is integrity. That's a little bit of integrity going on there, right? So please help us. How can we go from zip, nobody know me, to, because we want to impact the world globally like you. We want to be able to be called by a president of a corporation. We want to be able to be called even political. Talk to us. Please talk to us about that.
Well, there's 3 different steps. If you're saying I don't do much speaking, but I want to be a better speaker. First of all, there's read the good books and watch the good courses about speaking. There are very good books out there on speaking. For example, Peggy Noonan, some people would know that Peggy Noonan wrote a book called Speaking Simply. And I think they published it later in reverse, Simply Speaking. But anyway, it's one of those two, Noonan, Noonan. One of the best introductory books on speaking, really good. She was a speechwriter for President Reagan. And so there are books, there are courses on my website, stephenmansfield.tv. There's a course for learning how to speak.
That's right.
A video course, very inexpensive. So expose yourself to that information. Read those books, watch those courses. There are things online that will help you. There are websites. So digest as much of that as possible. But the second thing is the hardest for people, and that is simply start speaking. I know of a very, very famous speaker who was a terrible speaker when they first started. So what they did was they formed what they called a speaking club. There were 5 people in their group who wanted to be better speakers, and they would get together and they would give speeches to each other, and they would critique each other. And then eventually they said, if we send you a video once in a while, will you look at it? And I said, well, if I have time, I will. And I would look, I'd give some feedback. And they did that with some other people. And then they would just speak and locally, and they would speak at different, Toastmasters and other things they could do. And then eventually, when they began to get some presence and began to be asked to speak some, they hired a professional coach. Because if you're really going to be global, you'll eventually need to have somebody who's a real professional and can do that kind of thing. And I want to encourage your audience by saying that I work with people who are CEOs and generals and politicians, and I've worked with some presidents. And I'll tell you that almost everyone needs coaching to get to the next level when it comes to speaking.
Can you say that again? Almost everyone needs what?
Needs coaching to get to the next level in their speaking. Our firm meets people who are Congress people, but they want to be in the Senate, which is a click up, and they are improving their speaking. Normally, people have a certain level of a certain gift or ability for speaking, but they get to the end of that gift, so to speak. They get to the end of their natural ability, and they don't know how to get to the next level. And they have to have somebody point that out. So someone, just to speak of politics, who's in Congress, who wants to go to the Senate, needs help getting to that level of speaking. They're in the Senate, they want to run for president, they need coaching to the next level.
Wow.
Everybody needs coaching to the next level. And everybody can be an effective speaker. Everyone can be an effective speaker. But there are techniques you have to learn how to work into your life. So speaking is unbelievably important. It's more important in the future than ever because, now, for example, if you apply for a job, they often ask you to do a video of you speaking.
Yes,
because they need good communicators. Now universities are starting to ask for video of you speaking before they accept you. It's becoming incredibly important. So everybody can get better, but there are 3 levels. The basic book reading and watching video and getting the information about how to speak well. Number 2, actually starting to speak, even if you have to do it in your living room in front of a mirror or with your group. And then finally getting some coaching and some teaching, which can even be taking just a speaking class at a university, for example.
Oh my goodness. This, I'll tell you, right, guys, this is crack the code again. This is awesome. Now let's talk a little bit about best practices of a successful leader in your field. Can you talk to us about your perspective on best practices? Because we have a lot of people here that are leaders, right? They are leaders. And so talk to us about what are the best practices what do you think we should be doing where that is concerned?
Well, there are so many things, but I'll tell you my basic philosophy of leadership, and then we can talk about practical practices. I say this a lot. You have a destiny, but your destiny is fulfilled by investing in the destinies of others.
Ooh.
You have a destiny, but your destiny is fulfilled by investing in the destinies of others.
Crack the code, people. Crack the code. Go ahead. Oh my God.
That's not just some preaching point for me. That is actually how I lead. I believe that I lead best when I'm helping other people fulfill what they are made for.
My goodness.
Leadership is not for me about attracting a crowd that worships Stephen Mansfield. Ooh. It's not about me trying to gain power. It is about me going and investing in people. If I'm making a speech, that's how I'm thinking. If I'm consulting, that's how I'm thinking. If I'm advising a politician, that's how I'm thinking. Even when I write a book, I think, what can I tell people that will help lift them to the next level of impact and understanding? So I think that this is a Christian view, quite frankly. But I also think that it's the best in leadership practices. Most leaders are about accumulating for themselves. I don't mean necessarily, but accumulating power, followers, etc. But the best of leadership is that I think in terms of those I lead as people I'm investing in so they can step up to a new level. And if I'm thinking that way, if I'm thinking about empowerment, well then, so that with that philosophy, everything changes. I don't think primarily in terms of, how can I redecorate my office? But I think, how can I take Sam, for example, and help him be better at what he does? Inspire him, number 1. Help make sure he's trained, number 2. Make sure he has a vision for his role, number 3. Make sure he feels part of a team, number 4. I could go on and on and on. So once you have that fundamental belief that your job as a leader is about investing in the destinies of others, then the practical skills become about those individuals or those teams that you're leading.
Oh my God. See, this is such revelation right there. Right, guys? This is such revelation right there. Let's talk some more about, you did something about identifying the 10 common conditions that give rise to a leadership crash.
Yes.
Now, I like that. A leadership crash. Can you talk to us about that and also about the safety net? Talk to us about that.
My firm for many years got a reputation for helping with some of the big major leadership crashes that happened in the United States. Politicians, CEOs, some rock stars. We were good at other things, but increasingly we were asked to come in after these famous crashes. The CEO has had the affair, or the politician, misused his money or whatever.
Okay, hold it right there. Yeah. Hold it right there. Now, how do you get to do that kind of cool job? Come on now. Come on. Talk to us about that.
We were consulting with leaders, And our approach, our manner with leaders made people think we would be the best people to bring in for certain disastrous moments in their company. And so we did, and we got very good at it. And it was not the happiest work we ever did, a lot of devastation, a lot of trouble.
That's right.
It was just by reputation. You know, normally things don't progress from one condition to another in your leadership life because you went and got a certification or you got a master's degree. Normally, it's just how you develop your skills. So, you know, you've asked about 2 or 3 things that I do. None of those things, you can't get a certification as a speaking training coach. You can't. I'm sure there's a degree somewhere, but I never did that. And this consulting that we do, I mean, I've got a doctorate and 2 master's degrees, so I'm academically qualified, but in leadership coaching, there are some programs, but most of it's experience. Most of it's
that's right. That's right.
So I'm not putting down academics. I'm just saying for a lot of what we do, there are no academic programs.
That's right. That's right.
Most of the people who do it are just qualified and have good effect. So after we had done this leadership crisis, these leadership crashes and the consulting, I began to realize that I didn't want to be cleaning up after the crash. I wanted to teach people what the signposts of the crashes were. In other words, in advance, what does it look like when somebody's heading for disaster? What does it look like when a company's already in trouble? And if I could teach that, I could prevent the crashes. So I spend a lot of time giving this talk, 10 Signs of a Leadership Crash, all over the world, and helping corporations and companies and different groups understand, here's what a leadership crash looks like. And it has 2, mainly it's about the soul of the leader. Because what we found was that leadership crashes tend to happen because of quiet things that are eating away inside the leader that no one around them catches. They're like termites. You know, the termites do more damage in America than big dramatic storms that get the news attention. But they just work quietly beneath the surface and nobody knows they're there. So that's usually what causes, for example, let me just give you one example. There are 10 of them. We won't go through all of them, but one of them, here's one. One of the things that comes up every single time that we are doing what we call the postmortem on a leadership crash, we're checking on what caused it afterwards, is that there was an issue of bitterness in the heart of the leader. The soul has a memory like an elephant. It remembers things forever. So, for example, when President Richard Nixon was going through the worst days of Watergate, he would get on the floor and cry and beat the floor. And you know what he was talking about? He was talking about how people treated his poor family back when he was a little boy. And here he is, President of the United States. But his bitterness is about something that happened 50 years before when his family, they were Quakers, and so they were mistreated in California. My point is, all of us have enough bad things that have happened in our past where people have wronged us, that if we want to, we can let bitterness deform us. Well, when you let bitterness take over your life, you suddenly feel entitled. You feel like you should have that money they told you you couldn't have.
Wow.
You should be able to sleep with whoever you want to sleep with, or drink whatever you want to drink, or treat people however you want to treat them. You feel entitled. And so bitterness almost always leads to some kind of medicating. It almost always leads to some kind of entitlement where you mistreat people or take privileges that aren't yours. And that can actually lead to criminal activity. I mean, I know a man who got bitter about the way the board of a company treated him. And so he just took their money and he's in prison right now, all because he got bitter and didn't know how to deal with it. So that's just one of them. I talk about it for a long time. But bitterness can cause a CEO to do stupid things and medicate with sex, drugs, whatever, and blow up their lives and thus blow up the company. And by the way, these leadership crashes cause billions of dollars in American business and globally of damage because the company, how many companies do we know where the CEO crashed and the company's worth half its value right now? So this talk is making a big difference. And I'm glad you brought it up because many people need to know. By the way, this is an inexpensive little, I'm not trying to sell things, but I have a little inexpensive ebook.
Oh, please say it. Please say it. We need, because we have leaders on right now that please say it.
I put this whole talk into an inexpensive little ebook on Amazon. It's called 10 Signs of a Leadership Crash. I can't remember the price.
They put it already. They already put it for you. Thank you, Tessa. 10 Signs of a Leadership Crash. That is the link over there. all of the people in my mastermind, you need to click that thing and you need to buy it, because we've been talking about leadership, right? Because all that affects what you do. So if you are in my mastermind, if you are following me on broadcast, I'm going to tell you right now, he didn't tell me to do this. You need to pick that thing up and you need to purchase it. All right? You need to purchase it. Because if we are trying to be leaders, then we need to learn from others. We need to learn from others. And part of it is also reading. Part of it is also studying. You don't have money to do this. You didn't have money to do this one. So let's try and get some knowledge and get some education here. Let's talk about your classic books, right? You know what? Who does that? How did you even sit down and say, okay, I'm going to start writing about thought leaders. I'm going to start writing about presidents. Walk me through that, because other people are talking about novels, about romance and all that other stuff. My husband was the only one who was a history buff. He loved history. So when he saw your stuff, he was like, yes, yes. I said, and I'm like, no. I want to do a little bit of inspiring and just talk about natty that, but not that, dear. Now, this must take a lot of research. How did you get to a point where you say, you know what, I'm going to be, maybe this is something we have privately, because, about them, I know where I want to go. Uh-huh. I want to go where you are. But my little nuggets, perhaps I'm going to bring you back and you're going to do a class.
Okay.
Master class. So, we all like that? We all like Mr. Mansfield to do a master class, because I'm going to have him give one, right? But I'm not going to have him give the whole thing. We're going to wrap this up and we're going to convince him to create a master class. Yes, okay. I want to see yes, okay, yes, all right. So yes, okay, cool. It's getting good. I want to see, keep saying your yes. Keep saying your yes, because the more yeses I get, the easier it is to convince him to do a master class for us, right? Yes. Oh, I have a girlfriend here, a very good friend, Wendy Alexander. She's a cultural consultant. She lives out of Dubai, and she said yes too.
Great.
Yes. Ooh, Mr. Mansfield, we got a master class. Let me ask you first before I sign you up for a master class.
Remember, you have to deal with Karen. You'll have to deal with Karen.
I know. Oh, that's true. Well, you can slowly and gently, right, introduce it to Karen and say, Karen, we got an opportunity here where we get to teach master class. We're going to talk to the wife here, y'all. They're still saying yes.
Okay.
Everybody's still saying yes. See? Did you see what he just did? He said, let's talk to Karen. Did you see that? He loves his wife and he's like, okay, all right, let's point it in the right direction. Did you see how he smoothly did that?
Now, Karen is my assistant. Beverly's my wife. Don't get them confused.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Karen and Beverly. Okay, sorry. I forget that. All right. So either way. Oh, wait a minute. Did you say we have to talk to Karen?
Karen, the no queen. Karen, okay. My executive assistant.
All right. So we'll work something out.
We'll work something out. She can be fine.
Yeah, because this is going to cost you to do, we're going to do a tape. It's going to be a taping, and it's going to be something that I just keep giving. It doesn't have to be a live event, but it's going to keep giving. It's going to be a gift that keeps giving. All right, y'all, you don't have to say yes no more. I got it. I got it. They want to make sure that you get it.
I got it.
See? Yeah, he says he got it. They want to make sure that you get it, that they want it. So now they want to hunt Karen down. Poor child.
Okay.
Oh my God. So talk to us a little bit about that. How did you segue into writing George Bush, Barack Obama, Lincoln? How did you even get to that?
Well, I think you have to have you can only write well and successfully in things that you're really passionate about. So I was bored in school most of the time when I was growing up and didn't enjoy it very much. And then I began to read about the biographies of leaders. Normally, I don't know about your schooling, but in my schooling, they use textbooks and they just kind of glide over everything and they never get down to talk about an individual life, But when I began to read about Churchill or began to read about Booker T. Washington or began to read about people in history I admired, like Lincoln, I was fascinated. What made them tick? What did they have to overcome? What did they believe? What did they believe about God that made them better leaders and so on? And I just read that kind of thing voraciously. And then finally, someone heard me give a speech about Churchill. I mean, this is years and years of reading and studying Churchill. And so somebody asked me to make a speech. And in the room, when I made the speech, was the president of a publishing firm. And he said, would you be willing to write a book about Churchill? Dr. George Grant, some of your followers might know him. Dr. George Grant said, let's do a series, and I want you to write about Winston Churchill. So I did the book on Winston Churchill, and it got some awards, and it did well. And so I began to realize that people are interested, like I am, in the biographies of famous people, and particularly with an eye towards faith. So I had written a bunch of those when finally we came up to the 2003 presidential election and George W. Bush was running for office. Well, George W. Bush was interesting because whatever you think of him as a president, he wasn't very articulate. He didn't speak very well. They would ask him about his faith and he would answer some other question. So I remember. Yeah. So this publisher asked me, would you be willing to write a book about George W. Bush's faith?
So, okay, hold on to that thought. So the first one that you wrote pointed you to the same, because we want to understand this. We want to crack the code on too. But remember now, don't crack it too much because there's a masterclass coming.
Yes.
Yeah, just crack it enough, just enough ignition. How did you, okay, take me as your mentee. And what I want to do is, I'm already a writer.
Yes.
But I want to be able to go to Africa and write for thought leaders and write for presidents, people like that in Africa as a whole. How do I get myself, position myself in such a way that do I just take one of them, like the president of Liberia, and crack the code on her and write something? Walk me through it.
Well, you have to think about what your message is. What is it that you are passionate to write about and could write about for the rest of your life? And how can you package it so that it is popularly interesting and achieves a market, has an impact in the market? So my real interests are Christianity and leadership. My real interest is not George W. Bush. He's a friend, but that's not my real interest. Mm-hmm. By writing a book on the faith of George W. Bush, I get to talk to people about faith and leadership, which is what I'm really all about.
Oh, got it.
It's a matter of packaging. And most people, when they write, there are two principles here. First of all, write what you're passionate about and what you're good at, but write it in a way that it's popularly interesting. For example, if I had written a book called Faith and Leadership, that book would not have sold well.
Wow! Oh, you just cracked it. Oh, this is a masterclass code. Mr. Mansfield. Oh my God! You just see right there. Wow!
Yeah. So I've written the faith of George W. Bush, the faith of Barack Obama. I've written about Lincoln and other people. Why did I do that? I do care about them, but my main point is not for you to become an expert on Lincoln, but for you to hear lessons of leadership and religion and faith and leadership.
Oh my God. You just ignited something right there. So it's not, because many of us out there, we're looking at Amazon, people are writing on leadership, people are writing on, Christian living, people are writing on that. Yes. But what you want to do is look at examples that exemplify what your message is.
Yes.
Wow.
For example, and sometimes you have to do it real creatively. For example, years and years ago, there was a book about investing and about how to build wealth. But it wasn't called How to Build Wealth. If it had been called How to Build Wealth, nobody would have bought it because there are millions of books like that. His book was called Who Moved My Cheese?
That's right. That's a good one.
Or another book like it was called The Millionaire Next Door.
Yes.
So you see, they're being creative about how they present their truth. And most people will just do what I've described earlier. Like if they want to write, in my case, about faith and leadership, they'll write a book titled Faith and Leadership, Lessons for Being a Better Leader. Well, that's boring.
Wow. Oh my God. Practical.
What did I do? I wrote The Faith of George W. Bush.
My God.
During the presidential election, when he was unable to explain what he believed himself. And the book was a New York Times bestseller. So my point is, sometimes there's an extra step in there between what you want to say and the way people are going to receive it. You have to think through a strategy of how to package it.
Wow. People, I'm going to tell you right now, this particular broadcast, I'm going to leave it on for a few, maybe an hour or whatever, and I'm going to pull this baby down because we're going to add it to what he's about to do for you all. Oh, my heavens. That's what they say. They say they got it. This is a moment. Because I'm telling you right now, what you just said is millions of dollars right there. I'm telling you right now, it's millions because people do not get it. And because of that, Amazon and all this is packed with so many like terms, like things, and nothing really standing out to you. And everybody is struggling for that little buck. But what you just told us now is really literally going to take us out of that pool and bump us up, place where people can see us.
That's the key right there. That's the key. It really is about how to be, that people talk about we live in a noisy world. Well, how can you make your subject interesting to people who have heard subjects like it over and over and over and over and over? For example, if you title a book, My Masterclass, nobody's going to read it.
Yeah, that's right.
Except your sister and your mother, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But if you figure out some creative way to say how the cat ate the mouse, or something interesting, Who Eats My Cheese, Millionaire Next Door. I mean, there are other ways. Like somebody wrote a book called Jumping the Shark. Well,
that's right.
Nobody knew what that meant until they said that book. And then people got interested. Well, how interesting. And the metaphor became part of the message. And then they sold millions of books because they thought of a creative way to package their message. So anyway, that's my main lesson there. And that's been the key for my life. For example, I have a little ebook out because I do a lot of work with men. It's just called Building Your Band of Brothers. That's it. Yes. Building Your Band of Brothers. Well, it wasn't like I could have titled it, how men need to be connected, or, what's wrong with men. No man's going to pick up that book. They're tired of being chastised. But when I say Building Your Band of Brothers, and I've got a little picture of swords kind of intertwined like this.
Yes.
Well, it's moving a lot, and I've printed it very cheaply, inexpensively, so people can buy them by the hundreds for their churches or their organizations. You see, the strategy is almost as important as the message. I'm not saying the content's not important, but the strategy of how to actually get people to buy it, get it in their hands, have a title that pops with the public. That's the key.
How did you become because we're wrapping up now. I know you all are coming up with questions, but all those questions are going to be left for masterclass. You see how I'm pumping him for masterclass and getting him ready for you all. So now I have to convince Karen to just move aside. Karen, I love you, dear sister. You've been a great help. Now can you move aside so that Mr. Mansfield can do what he needs to do. So there's just questions coming. There's just questions. And this is good because when you have people that are curious like this, people that really want to learn, then it shows us that there's a need for what you're doing. And that is a good thing. So now we're down to because we're supposed to end at 8:30. We're down, winding down. Let's go to this. How did you become a New York bestseller? How did you even get on the list? You see me now? It's like, okay, I think I need a coaching experience with you. After this, breathing and out, I gotta set up a time with you and sit with you and say, you know what? This is again, do what we did before. This is what I do now. How do I bump it up? So how do you get to a point, because you have a lot of what do you call it? A lot of writers here right now that are just clunking their books and putting it in Amazon. Some of them are catching a little bit, one or two here. Some are not catching nothing. How do you get to be on the list?
Well, it's very difficult to get a New York Times bestseller. You have to. It actually is a formula.
That's right. Don't share the formula. Just
I won't.
Yeah.
I won't.
Don't share it.
It has to do with the way books sell worldwide.
That's
and
right.
So I'm going to tell you honestly, I don't think people should strive to have New York Times bestsellers.
That's right.
That sounds terrible, but that's a unique thing. The wind has to be blowing in the right direction. The sun has to be at the right angle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The right color on the right day.
That's right.
It's very
and the people on deck too. A group of people on deck.
Yes, exactly. But most people, what they need to be focusing on is writing for their platform, writing for the people they impact.
Writing for their platform. Say that again. Write for their platform.
People should write for their platform. The people they have write to expand their platform and to reach the people they have influence over, rather than striving to be a New York Times bestselling author. I'm not trying to act elitist, but very few people will ever be New York Times bestselling authors, and that's I know there are people who have deeply impacted my life with their writings, and they have never had a New York Times bestselling author. One of my mentors, he's written 40 books, and I've read all of them, and they've deeply impacted me. Not one of them has ever been on the New York Times bestselling list. So what you want to do is write what you're called to write to impact the people you're called to impact.
Crack the code.
As your platform grows, you'll increase. But I'm not trying to put it down. I'm just saying the New York Times bestselling situation is a very rare. Certain number of books have to sell in the first week, and then so many have to sell digitally, and then the publisher has to have certain media and have to have your tongue just right.
That's right. That's right.
Very weird thing. And I've had some of the books I'm proudest of mine are not New York Times bestsellers, but they've been very influential. And I'm very proud of them, but they weren't New York Times bestsellers. In fact, my biggest numerical sellers are not New York Times bestsellers. See, that's
something that is interesting. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said so. It's a question of what is your goal really? Do you impact people, and if you want to impact people, then that should be your goal. And the way you can do that is start to write for those people that you know you're called to.
Right. I write, in my situation, I write two different kinds of books. One is to try to shape the American and the global dialogue about politics and religion. So that's where I write the faith of George W. Bush and the faith of Barack Obama and Lincoln and all that. Then the other channel that I write is for impact on the people that I can reach from my platform. So that's why I'm writing 10 Signs of Leadership Crash. That's why I'm writing Building Your Band of Brothers. That's why I wrote Mansfield's Book of Manly Men, that kind of thing. So those books will never be New York Times bestsellers, but I believe by the time I die, my little booklet, which is I think $6 or something, on Building Your Band of Brothers, I'll sell millions of them by the time I die. Not now, but by the time I die, which is going to be 100 years from now. So, by the time that's good income for me, but it's also impacting a lot of people. That's what I call a platform book. So most people need to focus on the platform and expanding their platform and reaching the people they can impact, and not try to have the glitzy New York Times bestseller, because that's only going to happen for less than 1% of the people who write.
Wow.
Very, very few people. And I need to tell you, this sounds terrible, but I just want people not to have stars in their eyes. It doesn't really mean that much.
Can you say that again?
It doesn't mean that much. Being a New York Times bestselling author, it's a title you can wear, but I have books that have made me more money and have more impact on people's lives that have never been New York Times bestsellers. So I've done 25 books. 4 of them have been New York Times bestsellers. Majority of my books have not, and I'm proud of every one of them. And some of them are really changing lives. I'm so grateful. They will never darken the door of the New York Times bestseller list. And I don't even care. That's not why I wrote them. Mainly, we sell them online and at our events. They're not going through bookstores for the most part. But those books are having the biggest impact. So it's a difference between positioning, public attention, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, and so on the one hand, and on the other hand, actually putting books into the hands of people at conferences and so on that are changing lives. 2 different directions. And most focus on the one direction.
Did you say that they would never see the inside of a bookstore or something? Did you say something about what?
Yeah. My book, Building Your Band of Brothers, we published it ourselves. It's available digitally online, but mainly we either sell hundreds of books in bulk to churches and organizations, or
Wow.
I sell them at my events. But you can't go to a bookstore in America and find it because we didn't do a distribution deal. We're doing it directly.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? That, oh my God, that is, oh wow.
Yeah.
That's revelation right there, y'all. That is revelation. Now, as we wrap up, I want you to really talk to us about healing church hurt. And then I also know that you are very passionate about Kurds, race, heritage. Talk to us, just wrap us up in that order.
Well, I wrote a book years ago on getting over your church hurt because my friend George Barna did a survey, and he found out that the people in the world that we talk about as being a non-churched, people who are unchurched, in America, 40% of the people we call unchurched are actually embittered people who are bitter, who are ex-church. They're people who have been to church, but they've been hurt and they've left bitter. And so if we're going to try to reach the unchurched, we have to talk to them about getting over their church hurt and getting over their offense. And so I wrote a book called about church hurt, and it's helped a lot of people get better. There's an example, by the way, of a book that will never be on the New York Times bestseller list, but it's helped thousands of people get over their hurts. And to get back in church and get reconnected to God and stop being damaged by their bitterness. So there's an example of the good you can do. And does it make me money? Sure. But mainly that book, it will not make me a lot of money, but I'm excited about the impact it has. I also write books like the book on the Kurds. And that book is a labor of love. I have a great love for the Kurdish people. I've worked in Kurdistan, Iraqi Kurdistan. In Nashville, as you probably know, has the largest
yes.
in the United States. Yes. I love the Kurdish people. I love their culture. I love their heritage. And they are in a real trouble right now. They're battling ISIS. The Kurds are the largest people group in the world without their own homeland. So 35 million of them, and they don't have their own homeland. So I'm an advocate for them. I've testified before Congress, and I'm not an official lobbyist, but I talk to everybody on the Hill that I have relationships with, trying to get them to help the Kurds and fund the Kurds. And I think Kurdistan is going to be the world's next new nation. So I'm trying to help bring that about. And so you see, there's a situation where I have a passion, and then I twist the arm of a publisher and I get them to let me write about the Kurds. And that's where that book came from. And then I also was asked to do a TED Talk, and did a TED Talk on the Kurds as well. So that I can use my platform to help an important cause in the world. And that's what you want. Grow your platform, and then you'll have a chance to use it. It took years and years and years to get the platform that I have now. But when I wanted to help the Kurds, I could turn my attention to the Kurds and help them. And that's very meaningful. That's what you're really going for.
Wow. Whew. I'm trying to look here and make sure that I got them going. Okay. All right, people. So as we wrap up, thank you. Let me just say this. I want to really, really thank you so much for taking this time with us. I know an hour and a half, you're probably going to go take some water and quickly rest like, okay, whew, this is over now. But it's not really over, is it? So I want to thank you so much for even being a part of us here, for listening to what we have to say, for us answering questions. They say it's been a great, informative one for them. They're looking forward to the masterclass. So we got to talk behind this about how to get you to do the masterclass on Storyteller Bistro, because this is what they want. And one thing I've learned is when people want something, just give them what they want. Yes. And not try to tell them what they want, but you give them what they want. And if this is what they want, then I think we certainly need to really, really look at this. They said, awesome interview. Thank you for joining us and blessing us with your wisdom. Dr. Ray says, thank you for this. Dr. Lindy Sanders. I got a lot of doctors in the house this morning.
Good.
They said, thank you. Wendy from Dubai said, great information. Thank you. Andrea said, love you, Desiree. I just want to tell you a little bit.
Thank you so much.
I want to show you a little bit of love here. And so Christine Holmes Mason said, thank you. Ramona, does Dr. Stephen have more than one platform? Do you have more than one platform?
Oh, if we're speaking of platform, meaning, the positioning that I have positioning both in DC and as a minister, as a pastor.
Okay.
That's probably what I would say. But so maybe I have two platforms, so to speak. But a platform is not a physical thing. It's it's just the respect that you have from a certain band of people whom you can influence. So yeah, I probably have a number of platforms.
So Crystal said, wonderful interview. Debbie says many, many thanks. Mercedes says many thanks. Patricia says so humble and great speaker he is. Linda D. Lee says, great interview. Thank you for doing this. Florida says, excellent, impactful. Desiree says, thank you so much. Look, I can't even go scroll down.
That's okay.
There's Andrea says, so blessed by this interview. It's truly an honor. Tony Parker from Australia. She says, this is brilliant. This has been a brilliant experience for us. Patricia from South Korea said, Lachelle Drake says, excellent. And it goes on and on and on. Wonderful. And you give us just one, as we wrap it up, give us one wisdom nugget, something that just blow their minds out. And then we just say goodbye.
The most important thing, if you're wanting to make a change in your life and increase your trajectory, your rise in the world, is tame your schedule. Tame the schedule. So free up time to dream, to think, to pray, to rest. Most people are running too fast, responding to need and opportunity. They're drained, and they aren't having time to get strategic. A lot of what we've been talking about today is me having the ability to be strategic about what I'm doing next. And the average person who's got any leadership ability at all gets into leadership and then just gets drained. Need and opportunity dominates them. But you have to, it's that old thing that Dr. Covey taught us, that real increase does not happen with the urgent. It happens with the things that are important but not urgent. So you have to tame your schedule, free up time to dream and make lists and look at your life. And that's where real increase starts to come from. Listen, it's been wonderful to be with you. Thank you so much. It's been great. So great.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mansfield. We really thank you for this opportunity. And I will be talking to you behind the scenes. I'm going to let you rest now.
Okay.
Because I know I tapped a whole lot into you today. Okay. So I'm going to let you recover from this, and perhaps within the week, I want to get in touch with you so that we can continue that dialogue on how do we set this masterclass on. The good thing is you just stay right where you are, looking cool the way you are, and just get the camera to do the job.
Do the work.
Ready. So thank you all so much. Thank you. It's been a great honor to have you all on here. Thank you so much for this. Bye for now. Bye-bye, everybody. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a great pleasure. I really enjoyed having you guys here. Just give me a second while I finish with this. Thank you all so much for coming. Do you have any questions? I want to do something right now. And what I want to do right now is I want to ask some questions for those who are left behind. Right here, I want you to begin to throw out to me the kind of questions that you want him to talk about. I want you to begin to throw here. I'm just going to give you like 2 to 3 more minutes. Thank you so much. 2 to 3 more minutes. Thank you, Annette. And just throw in there, what are the kind of questions you would want him to do for masterclass? Now that we have him, right, I can grab him now to do a masterclass for us. He has finally said yes. And so because he said yes, I can go behind the scenes and really work on him, do it, because there were so many questions here that we could not even get into. Thank you, Linda. There were so many questions we could not get into. And I think that it would be great to just do a masterclass with him where he can really, really go delve more into all of this. So Ramona Jones, I'm going to give you an assignment. Ramona Jones, please do me a favor. Can you get what do you call it? Can you get a postcard inside of World Changer? Thank you, Nkechi. World Changer Sister Tribe. Get me a postcard. And on that postcard, I want people to give us an example of what the kind of things that you want him to answer, the kind of topics you want him to answer for the masterclass. Because I'm going to go after him for this masterclass for you all. I don't do this often, but I do it because of the people, some of you all that I know. And so I'm going to go after him for this masterclass. I'm gonna go after him for it. So if you have questions, if you have other things that you think that you want him to answer, in fact, there's a card there already. We have a postcard already. Can you just add more to the questions that are there? And then I can send those questions. You're welcome, Ramona. I can send those questions to him. Thank you, Dr. Lindy. And then we'll look at how he's going to create that masterclass for us. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Andrea. Yes. Well, we need more. We need more of this. Now that you guys have listened to him now, right? How to strategize to connect to your audience and build your platform. Okay. All right, Ramona. Ramona, do me a favor because you are in charge. Good morning, Florence. Please make sure you come back and watch the replay of this. You are in charge, Ramona Jones. Can you add that to the postcard that we have already? Add that to the postcard. Hey, Latoya, add it to the postcard. Any questions that you have that is remaining, because there's so much we could get from this guy. I'm telling you, there is so much that he could actually help us with. And so it's important, right? There's so much that he could help us with. And so I'm asking you guys, oh, thank you, Dr. Ray. Thank you. You're still there. Awesome. So I'm asking you guys, whatever questions that you have, Dr. Ray, I want you to represent the man. Dr. Ray, I need you to represent the man, right? Think about questions from the man's angle that we can add to this masterclass. Yes, Ramona Jones, that's fine. How do you effectively build your audience? I think one person have answered that already. Ramona Jones, what you might want to do is whatever questions that is on this thread, can you pull them out and add them to the postcard that we have already? All right, add them to the postcard we have already. When you guys come back here and watch this, for those who are watching the replay here, thank you so much for watching the replay. This has been an epic, incredible moment. And you guys, I'm telling you right now, just spending 1.5 hours with him, you know what I'm talking about. This is the real deal. He's not, it's somebody. This is what we have to do. When you're trying to be a leader, you need to be humble. And this is what I teach you all, to be humble in anything that you do. Because humility, yes, Florence, watch the replay. Humility is what we need, is what's going to get us to the next level. Like you call it level, I call it dimension. Many of us at times when we get a little bit of a light, we lose our mind, we lose our thought. But you've seen what I'm talking about now, that humility is just an incredible character trait of a leader, right? Humility is what brought him in front of George Bush. Humility is what brought him in front of all these people that he has written for. He cracked so many codes today that is just incredible that my eyes was like, did he just crack those codes? Did he crack those codes for us? Because even for me right now, there's a book that I'm writing right now, yeah, because I regard him, he's my mentor, all right? He's my mentor. So I'm going to go back to him with the title of my book right now, the book that I'm about to release, right? And I'm going to say to him, what do you think? Does he follow the pattern of the things that you've been talking to us about, right? Tips on his marketing strategy. Well, I know the tip. I can tell you this much. I know few of the tips of his marketing strategy, and his wife is a big part of it. Explain platform book strategy that is different from his other in-store process. Yes, Linda, you need to know that. Oh, you're changing the title of your book too? Well, see, here's the thing, Ramona. You are in my mastermind. So I don't know why you're writing a book that you haven't told us in mastermind. You should tell us the title of your book so we can help you out in mastermind. You just heard what he said about surrounding yourself, about being in a group. Ramona Phillips, you are a part of the mastermind. So you bring that title on and let's hear it. All right. Bring the title. Thank you, Florida. And let's hear it. Well, see, here's the thing, Patricia. You have to handle your book where you are right now, right? You might be having a problem. You might be. Edith, I didn't know you've been here all day. You might be having a problem shipping to US, but you need to look at the community that you have in South Korea right now and see how you can actually serve that community first before even going internationally. Thank you, Judith. Oh, Dallas, we need to talk because I want to do something in Dallas. So we will close out on this now. Thank you so much. All right, Linda. All right. If you are a mastermind, bring your titles. It don't make sense, right? You guys, it doesn't matter. You can rewrite Ramona Phillips. You might have written it a year ago. If you're trying to republish it, then bring it to Mastermind. You guys need to start using your accountability partners more. Okay. All right, Ramona. So anyway, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap it up tonight. Thank you all so much. For those who are in my mastermind, I will see you tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time sharp. 7 p.m. Central Time sharp, right? You want to join the mastermind? Go to Storyteller Bistro. Can somebody put it out there? Edith, if you want to join this mastermind, go to storytellerbistro.com. 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 Hey, Lady Neve. Thank you, Andrea. Go to storytellerbistro.com and you're going to see a card, right? Yes, Ramona. You're going to see a card that says Prayerpreneurs Millionaire. Prayerpreneur Millionaires. Prayerpreneur Millionaires. All right. I tell you, I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys. Congratulations that you were here. I'm telling you right now, not only that, I'm excited about the masterclass because I intend to go after him for that mastermind. At this point, I don't care if I get all of my production company here and we will fly out to Washington, D.C. to go and tape in. We will do that. If we have to fly, we're going to fly to go do that. All right, so get ready. There's a masterclass coming your way. We are going to fly. You think I'm kidding, Patty Pat? I'm not kidding. I am going to fly. I'm going to get my TV production crew, and we are on the plane, and we are going to Washington, D.C. to go and tape this man because I want the mastermind myself. I don't know about you guys, but I want it for myself too. Patty Pat, he knows me already. We've known each other for over 12 years. Right, Andrea? He's a gold mine. Amen, Linda. He's a gold mine. He is a gold mine. Can you fly the plane? Oh, okay. Oh, Dr. Ray, I forgot you are out there. I totally forgot you're out there. Yes, let's talk, Dr. Ray, because I'm sorry. I'm making this thing happen. We are going to make this thing happen. So if we have the production crew there, then I'm flying out there. Then it's just going to be me alone flying out there, because this, I got to see myself. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Well, yeah. So we got, so we can figure out how much it's going to cost on the other end there. Do you need your gold mic? Look, Linda, you got your gold mic. Now we're trying to get you to use it more and take it to the White House. You know what I mean, Linda? Linda, you know what I mean? We're trying to get your gold mic in White House. So you all need to start getting ready, start saving your money, you know. Don't be acting silly. When the masterclass comes in, don't be saying, no. Now you know. So if I'm going to fly out there and we're going to hire a crew either over there or here to tape this, then get ready, y'all. Y'all need to get ready. Don't be doing with me. I want to hear no I don't play. Thanks, Edith. I want to hear no You know, we're going to make it worth its while. Because we can afford him. But if it's agreed to do a masterclass for us, then it's something we will be able to afford. Dreammaker, Andrea, Dreammaker. He, through the masterclass, can potentially be all of your dream makers. Are you hearing me? Save your money now, Linda. That's right. Through him and through the masterclass, he can actually be a dream maker. You see that? Oh, fat. He can be a dream maker. All right. That's right. And was it yesterday that we were talking about dream makers, or 2 days ago we were talking about dream makers? Well, here is one dream maker who's saying, okay, I'll do it. Holy Ghost fire. Thank you. Dr. Ray, when are we talking? When do we meet today? Let's connect. Dr. Ray, let's connect today, please. Let's connect. All right, so I'm going to leave you guys alone so that you can go and watch the replay. Because once I figure out what he wants to do, I might pull this down. And if I pull this down, then we're going to package it and make it kind of like a bonus for those who do the masterclass. All right, Dr. Ray, let's talk, please. Let's talk. Right, Linda? Yesterday, we were talking about how many people might not be able to afford his services, right? But look at what God did. Look at what God did. And so now, indirectly, we can get to tap into that brain of his. And if you guys do it well, perhaps we can have a part 1, part 2, part 3 of the classes. So, thank you guys. Love you all. Okay, Dr. Ray. Patty Pat, there was a lot of books. Yes, yes, Ramona Jones. And the good news is with him, Lovineka, because of the relationship that I forged with him, I can get to kind of ask him some questions that you want, and he will answer them, right? Bye, my dear Abby. I can get to ask him questions, and he will answer them because of the relationship. Oh, leadership. I will, Patty Pat, I'll give you the link. I'll give you the link. Those who are in my group, you all need to go and get that book because I'm about to go get mine too. Good night, Edith. Love you, Ramat. Yeah. Ramona. So we all need to get that leadership book so it can help us. You're welcome, Cynthia. You're welcome. All right. You did already, Ramona. Awesome. Everyone needs to go get that book. Can you drop, Ramona, can you drop that link again? Please drop that link again. Drop that leadership link again because I need to get mine. Yeah, okay, Linda, thank you. Drop the leadership link again before I close out. Good night, my darling Mama Tony. All right, Tony. All of my masterminders, make sure you get that leadership. Get it. Between that book and your vision torch, if you have not gotten your vision torch out to re-engineer your life purpose, I want you guys to get it. Can somebody put my link out there? I want you to get this book too. Your vision torch. Yes, watch the replay, Lady Nivier. If you have not gotten this, I want you to get this today. If you don't have this, get the ebook, but I will get the hardcover because the hardcover is really good. I want you to get this. Those who are in my masterminder, if you do not have this book, get this book. Oh, thank you, Krista. I want you to get it. And then Krista, get the leadership one for Mansfield. Those who are, you got it? Cool. I want you all to, because we're going to start walking out of this now. We're going to do something. We're going to do a challenge and we're going to do out of this. You're welcome, Tiffany. Thank you, Ramona. Awesome, awesome. All right, everybody. God bless you. I will stop now. I'm going to stop the live streaming now. And God bless you. I will talk to you. Perhaps I'm going to come on Facebook Live later today and just wrap up on this. You're quite welcome. And just wrap up with this. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.